guys, it's Alyssa, the hopeless romantic redhead.
And I'm Danielle, the whodunit detective.
And welcome to Main Character Syndrome. If you feel like you are the main character in your life, you are in the right place. We are continuing our deep dive into book five of the Throne of Glass series, Danielle. It's Empire of Storms. It's been a journey.
Yes, it's been a really active book so far and to come that we'll get into today and next week. And then as we round out the end of the book, kind of just talking about chapter by chapter what's happening. And so we want to preface by saying that if you have not read up to Empire of Storms, don't listen to this podcast yet. Go
Yeah.
back and read those books. You can dive into the episodes where we jumped into those books as well. And then today we're going from chapter 27 to I believe 39. And so if you have not read up to chapter 39, finish up and then jump back in here with us.
And we highly recommend that you guys read these books. It has been, like I said, it's been a journey. It's been so fun to see the character building, the world building, the plot twist, the heartbreak that you go through. So far with this book, we've done one episode, chapter 1 to 26, and we left off with Aylin, who has arrived in Skulls Bay, and she surprises everybody by just showing up in Rolf's office with her feet up on the desk, like, hey guys, I've been waiting for you.
Yeah. So starting with chapter 27, if you recall from Assassin's Blade, I believe, was it Assassin's Blade?
Yes, yep. Everything that we see in this book really goes back to what we've read in Assassin's Blade.
Yeah. So if you'll remember from Assassin's Blade, then Ralph had told Selena that he would kill her if he ever saw her again and she came back to Skulls Bay.
Well,
And
she did steal 200 of his slaves and completely wreck his city.
yeah, and almost like killed him. So yeah, you know, they have some beef. So she shows up at his office, she's in his chair, and she is taunting him. And she is being Selena right now and not Aelin. So she acts like she doesn't know Rowan, which is funny. And then she kind of starts flirting with Rowan in front of everyone. And I got a good giggle out of that. And then she asks Ralph if he has kept his word from Assassin's Blade that he hasn't sold or traded any more slaves. And he has been faithful to his word. So then she asks Ralph what his plans are for this war. And he says that if they want his help in the war, that he'll do it if they kill her. And she's like, well, buddy, they're not going to do that. And then she's like, let me introduce you to Aelin Galathynius. And then all of a sudden, I was a bit shocked at first, but then it made sense. All of a sudden, Aelin Galathynius walks into the room. And of course, it's Lysandra playing her. And Ralph is then confused and pissed when he finds out that Aelin is Selena, and then the others confirm who she is to him.
Yeah, this is a great scene. So, obviously, cat's out of the bag. Chapter 28, Rowan briefly walks over to Aelin and kind of lets her know what's been going on with the Cadre, Maeve, and Otterland's ships. Aelin missed him like crazy, and the two share a very passionate kiss in front of everybody in the room. I love how they just do not care.
No cares.
Aelin and Rolf then kind of go at it with negotiations, I put in quotations, because it's just kind of like back and forth insults. And she is kind of like, what do you want? I'll make you Pirate King of Skulls Bay. And and of course, in good old Selena Aelin fashion, she kind of insults him, and then Rolf kicks them all out and says he wants them all gone in 2 days. So they all leave and give him space. Then Gabriel and Aelin get into it in a heated discussion when he orders her to tell him where Adian is, which is his son that we found out. And Aelin says, you don't give me orders, and he doesn't get to decide when he gets to meet Adian. Adian gets to decide that. Later, Aelin and Dorian are talking, and she acknowledges that they are currently rulers without crowns because of a piece of paper. Dorian says, maybe that's a good thing. That was kind of an interesting thing that he said. Then they all regroup and relay what's happened and how Manon helped Dorian, saying if they can get Manon on their side, she would be a powerful ally. Aelin wants any witch that they encounter taken alive because she has a lot of questions. So do we. Aelin then tells them about the lock that she has to get. Later, Aelin is thinking over everything that she needs to do, but she's saying that she doesn't have enough time. What does that mean? It's almost like a foreshadowing. She also knows that she needs Rolf's map to help her find this lock.
Hmm.
A
Interesting.
lot of questions.
Yeah. Chapter 29, they're needing Rolf's help. Lysandra is pretending to be a courtesan again, with Adian as her quote unquote customer. She's wearing the amulet of Orinth. And what they're basically doing is they're trying to trick Ralph into using his map to make sure that it works, to kind of lead him to the amulet that she's wearing. Then all of a sudden, Dorian approaches, and we learn Adian still holds a grudge against him for his family lineage and stabbing Aelin, even though he was under the control of the Volg. And then Lysandra and Adian start talking about his father, Gabriel, and he asks her to join him when he meets his father. And she's like, yeah, of course. And they have like this little love growing and blooming. Now, all of a sudden, Ralph's barmaid from earlier on in the book arrives and she's like, oh, sorry, took a wrong turn, acting like, she's lost. But in actuality, it just kind of proved that the map worked.
One of my favorite things is I kind of call Empire of Storms like the relationship or romance book of Throne of Glass because you'll see there are so many things going on.
Yeah.
Chapter 30, back with Elide and Lorcan playing husband and wife with a traveling circus. Elide is tired of using her mother's name, Marion. She's tired of dealing with the caravan that they travel with, and she's tired of talking with Lorcan about Morath. Of course, it's pretty traumatizing. Later, when they gather firewood, he pushes her for more information and she snaps. She tells him to figure it out for himself because she knows he's going to leave her once he has everything he needs. This angers Lorcan because he says they had a deal. They then kind of cool off and he decides on a peace offering telling her what she wants to know, which is that he knows that Selena and Aelin and he knows them, and to find one, she needs to find the other. Pretty cryptic enough that Elise doesn't understand, but we know.
Hmm.
Lorcan says her mother's name, waiting for her to speak, and this kind of sends a lead into a mental spiral of thoughts about her being useless to help Aelin, her time in the tower when she was a child, and how she hasn't been happy in years or comforted. It's really sad to read. Lorcan can even sense this, and he kind of drops the subject for now. Then we are in Lorcan's point of view, which confirms this, as he could sense like sorrow and hopelessness from a lead. Then they find that they will be sleeping in their own tent together, and Lorcan, ever the gentleman, offers to take the floor. And technically, they're both sleeping on the floor, but she would get like a bedroll instead of just like the ground. Elide takes off her boots and starts to like massage her ruined ankle. Lorcan asks how badly it hurts, and she tells him that she's learned to live with it. Of course, he pushes, and she snaps back, asking why he cares, which Lorcan wonders too. We know why he cares. Lorcan stands watch outside as the lead strips off her clothes and gets into her bedroll. He can hear everything because he's Fae. And it kind of makes him think of Aelin and Rowan, how he knew Rowan was irrevocably changed when he had him pinned down in Mistward, saying love had broken a perfect killing tool, and Aelin was a fool for not using the ring to bargain for armies. Instead, they both were fighting for love. It almost seems like Lorcan's a little bitter in this part because he's kind
Hmm.
of jealous that they
For
have
sure.
what they have.
For sure.
Lorcan then washes Elite's clothes and he brought them back to her saying that the other guy was busy and he got her extra clothes to wear so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable sleeping naked, which I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Elite is moved by this and she opens up about her uncle and how horrible he is. He asks her if she wants him to kill Vernon and she asks if there's a cost. He says no. She tells him why she was in the dungeon, what Vernon was going to do to her in Morath, and that the explosion wasn't an accident. he realizes that Maeve had to know what was going on in Morath. Lorcan then asks about her foot and if that happened in the dungeon, to which Elide said it happened long before with the chain as well. And he says, "What chain?" And then he looks and realizes that there's like this white band on her foot. And she says, "When you kill my uncle, ask him yourself."
Hmm. But she never, I believe, uses Vernon's name, so he does not know who her uncle is.
Right. We know it's
And
Vernon. And I
yeah.
just said Vernon
Hmm.
for simplicity's sake. But yes, he does not know that it's Vernon because he does not know who she is. He doesn't know that she's a lead lock-in. He
Yeah.
thinks she's Marion.
Yes.
But there's
Chapter
a
30,
lot to unpack in that chapter.
really? I mean, it was a long chapter. I was just like, I wonder like what is going to be like super significant in the future.
Well, a lot of it is like Lorcan's kind of like warring with himself. He's always been alone. He's always been this armed warrior, just like closed off, no emotion. And he
Hmm.
sees this innocent girl, Elide, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I can help her and I can use her to get into Morath." But then he's doing all these nice little things for her.
Oh yeah. He's definitely fallen.
Ah, I love him. Not,
You
I don't
love?
love him. I love them.
Okay. I was about to say he's kind of a grouch.
I don't like him. But it's like, it's classic grumpy sunshine.
Yes, for sure. So then in chapter 31, the we'll say Aylin's cadre now knows that Ralph's map works, and Rowan and Aylin end up meeting Fenris and Gabrielle. Fenris brings up something about her settling. He was like, "Is she settling?" Which is a new term to us, meaning that there is still the possibility that she is immortal. So that was interesting to me.
Mhm.
And then we learned just a couple of things in this chapter. Fenris had originally been the one to volunteer to train Aelin, and he said that it was just a reason for him to get out of town and get away from Maeve because he does not like the blood oath and he does not like Maeve. He only took it because of his brother. Maeve has her cadre on lockdown with her blood oath, and it's different than Aylin's blood oath with Rowan, mostly because Maeve has used her blood oath and mixed in their kind of malice, whereas Aylin has always had kind of good intentions. We then learn that Ralph has weapons called fire lances he's ordered from the southern continent.
Yeah. And there's a difference too between Aelin and Maeve as far as rulers go. Maeve wants control and Aelin just wants loyalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chapter 32. Lysandra is exhausted and Adian puts her to bed, naked, might I add. They have a moment together. Not really romantically, but they kind of just like flirt a little bit. It's kind of like how they've been throughout the whole book. They just like innocently flirt together.
Yeah.
Adian then decides to meet his father, but when he does, things don't go to plan. He
Oh my
kind of
gosh.
goes off on
Yeah.
Gavriel. Gavriel tells him Adian's mother died, so Maeve could not get her hands on him. His mother could have been healed, but she chose not to. She chose to die for Adian. Adian blames Gavriel for everything. This is kind of a tough scene because I really feel for Gavriel. Like, he thought he was doing his best. Obviously, he lost his son because he couldn't see him anymore. He lost his
Hmm.
mother, his love. You know, I don't think he deserved that word lashing, but Adian has feelings. Adian, of course, later says he did not expect to say any of that. He has a moment where he says Gabriel will soon learn who he is and probably won't be so desperate to know him once he figures that out, which prompts Lysandra to defend him. They have this cute little moment where she says, if anyone says anything, I'll get them in like my new form that I'm working on. And we're
Hmm.
like, what's this new form? Later, Aelin finds Rolf, Gavriel, and Fenris looking at a map of Morath's fleet, realizing they are poised to strike Eelway. If we remember where Eelway is, that is Nehemia's kingdom.
Yeah. I totally missed that little like that sly comment about Lysandra being like in this new form I'm working on because I know it now. And so that was a good little hint.
Yep. Well, we'll figure it out in a couple chapters, anyways.
Yeah. So Chapter 33, just a reminder, Eelway has no army. So this attack on Eelway is basically specifically designed to hurt Aelin because of her relationship to Nehemia. So Aelin thinks about the life debts owed to her in the Red Desert. She mentions that. And if you remember from Assassin's Blade, who's in the Red Desert? The assassins whom she saved.
Pay
She then
attention to
ordered
how many debts that she is owed.
a lot. And so she then orders Ralph to give her his armada and his fire lance's weapon, and basically to ship them to the Mycenaean fleet. He says the Mycenaean fleet is only a myth and that they're gone. And she says they aren't gone, they are in hiding, and that she freed the city from Otterland so they can come out now. Lysandra then confirms earlier that Ralph is a Mycenaean, and she knows this from her time with Arab and Hommel. Aelin then tells Ralph they'll find someone else to help them if he won't, and she reminds him that her and Sam, just the two of them, took down his fleet, and that kind of is like putting the knife in, twisting it like, by the way, you're not that big of a deal. Me and my boyfriend took down all of you. So then he makes a jab against Sam, and Rowan then pins him up against the mat by his neck and threatens him. And that was like that was a good moment where I was like, I love that. And I like love that Rowan doesn't feel like some type of like weird masculine insecurity
He
about
never
Sam.
feels jealousy. He's so comfortable with Aelin and their relationship that nothing phases him.
Yeah. And so he's like, how dare you talk about her ex-lover like that?
Mhm.
Well, really not lover because they never made love, but you know what I mean. Bells then start ringing, and Ralph then begins to panic. Aelin had sent magic out to basically summon the Volg in the surrounding area to come attack Skulls Bay. And then she says, well, we're leaving now, and I'm taking my cadre. So, peace, have fun. And there are 8 warships heading their way, and at least 2 Sea Wyvern. Ralph then agrees to help her in this war, but he's like, I want to be a lord. And he says that he can't agree that the Mycenaeans will all come out, but he'll try. And then they begin to prepare to fight.
This was ballsy of Aelin to send out that power signal and summon the
Yeah.
Volk like army. Like you don't know what you are going to get in return.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Chapter 34 is kind of a short chapter as everyone's kind of preparing for the Volk to arrive. Aelin, as she did, she sees this fight as a way to send a message to Morath and that she's a force to be reckoned with and gain more allies. Well, I really hope that this goes in her favor because this could go really, really wrong. Aelin asks Lysandra if she knows what she needs to do, and then she says, "Good hunting." Lysandra, ever the lady, like sits on the railing, throws her little legs over the railing and like goes overboard and hops into the water, and then she shifts into this sea dragon. What was the new form Adian was told about? This is it. She's been working on being a sea dragon. Lysander has to fight 2 sea wyverns, which is 2 against 1, not great odds. Then we get to Adian's point of view. He's stationed at the harpoons, again, realizing that the sea dragon is Lysandra's secret form that she's been working on. He then reflects on how clever Aelin and Lysandra are, and when the men ask if the dragon will defend them, Adian says she will. Then we cut to Lysandra's point of view as she's just swimming underwater, having the time of her life. We then learn that in order to get the Mycenaeans out of hiding, Lysandra and Aelin came up with this plan, and Lysandra studied the pictures of sea dragons at Brandon's temple to shift into, because legend says the Mycenaeans won't return unless the sea dragons do. Then it says she began her death vigil. This kind of scared me because I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. And I don't know if I said in earlier chapter if she was fighting 2 sea wyvern or maybe I said more.
Yeah,
Um,
you said 2. She's fighting
okay.
2.
Okay.
originally.
hmm So, chapter 35, they are still preparing for battle at sea. I mean, this just goes on and on. For the last several days, Aelin has actually been spiraling down into herself, kind of drawing out her power, trying to find how deep it goes. Aelin and Rowan then slice their hands open and combine them for their Carnon bond, and Rowan hands his power over to her. This does not go well. She starts to get out of hand, and the enemy fleet starts to try and flee and escape her wrath, which you're like, oh, okay, cool, great. However, she's beginning to use too much of this power, going way deeper than she's supposed to. It's scaring Rowan, and she's like draining all of the power out of him. And we learn she's wearing a word key, and that's made her power go deeper. Rowan then hears a door open, and she opens a gate. And her eyes are now rimmed silver, not gold. So immediately, Rowan kind of senses and knows this isn't Aelin anymore. And so she's someone else. Gabriel then says to Fenris not to look at her, but then immediately him and Fenris are quickly on their knees. And it is the goddess Deanna who has taken over her body. But if you remember, Deanna's actually her ancestor. She's the goddess of the hunt. And Deanna says that every key has a lock and basically tells her that she needs to get to the lock, which is at the stone marshes. So then she calls Aelin, the queen who is promised, and she has these insane flames. And it's not like Aelin's fire. She has flame of the stars, and it's called moonfire. The goddess then goes to basically destroy everything. She's like, no stone left unturned. Let's just kill everyone. And she goes to destroy everything, including all of these innocent civilians. And Aelin, from deep within herself, yells no and pushes the goddess basically out of her as Rowan is stepping in front of the fire to prevent Aelin slash Deanna from killing everyone. He's like, I'm going to take this blow and die instead of her killing everyone. And Aelin then is able to steer this power elsewhere. And it's kind of a shit show.
It's ballsy of Rowan to step in front of that, not knowing if she's actually going to go through with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, unfortunately, things did not go to plan. Chapter 36. Aelin is in the water since she destroyed Rolf's boat and all but three of Morath's ships, including some of Rolf's ships.
Yeah, she killed some of her own people.
Yeah, she killed some human allies.
Yeah.
Fenris ended up saving her, but they have to swim fast to the reef because there are still sea wyverns in the water. Aelin reflects on what she's done as she sees the carnage that she created. I mean, she's seeing blood, she's seeing bodies. It's not good. Then they reach Rowan and Gabriel on the reef, and they're all out of magic. They realize that they're stuck on the reef unless Lysandra can kill all the sea wyverns. Back to Lysandra in the water, she manages to save Rolf and the rest of his crew and sinks an enemy ship. With one more ship to go, she's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but then she sees everyone screaming at her to swim. And she's like, what the heck? And then she sees that three more sea wyverns are headed straight for her.
Yeah. So she's killed the two wyverns.
Yep.
And now there are three more coming. And in chapter 37, we learn that these are actually three adult sea wyverns coming for Lysandra. And she has killed their two babies. And they hold grudges against killing their children. And it's mentioned that they're basically like three times her size each. She then uses her brain, her knowledge to kill them, taking them out one by one. She took one out on a boat, another she managed to steer towards Dorian, who then froze it and like shattered it to a bunch of pieces. And then she drew the last towards Adian, and Adian had one job, and that was to spear it, and he did. Lysandra is now dying after taking so many blows, bites, arrows to her during this battle, and she's losing too much blood. Adian's basically losing his mind. He's so scared and sad. And, they're trying to heal her, and he tells her that he is going to marry her one day. And I was like, oh,
It's so
what a,
sweet.
yeah, so sweet. What a bad time to tell someone that you're gonna marry them. They're like dying, and you're like, I'm gonna marry you. You're not dying.
He also doesn't
Um,
give her a choice. He's like, I'm gonna marry you one day. Whether
yeah,
you like it or not, it's
you're
gonna
gonna be my
happen.
wife. That's it. And then one of the Fae ends up healing her. And Adian asks what the hell happened. And Aelin says that she lost control and basically hints to him at the word key to avoid revealing it to Fenris and Gavriel.
Aiden has balls here with Aelin. I mean, he goes off on her.
Hmm. He's starting to really step out of this shell of like Aelin, my queen, my, all knowing, all correct. Like you never do anything wrong. And now he's like, whoa,
Hmm.
you almost killed my woman, got my woman killed. So he wasn't happy about that at all.
Yeah, she keeps things from him. He's not loving his cousin right now.
Mhm.
Chapter 38. Aelin is out on the beach and Rolf demands to know what happened. Aelin says she slipped. Rolf is like, a slip? That seemed a little bit more than a slip.
Hmm.
Then Rolf kind of goes into the story of how he got the map on his hand and the cost that he had to pay. It turns out he was 16 and barely more than a slave himself on a ship. He was beaten because he was a Mycenaean, and all his money went back to support his mom and sister. The ship was caught in a storm and then it sank, and Rolf drifted onto an island where a man asked Rolf what he wanted for himself, to which he said he wanted to be Pirate Lord of Skulls Bay. The man said he could grant his wish, but the price would be that what Rolf valued most. Which Rolf was like, I don't have anything of value. I got no money. I have no assets. So he agreed. Rolf returned home to find his mom and sister were killed at sea trying to find him, and he realized the real price he had to pay. He then says that was the price for his power, and then he asks Aelin what will be hers. Makes us wonder. Aelin keeps thinking about Deanna calling her the queen who was promised. This comes up multiple times. This and Nameless. Rowan finds her on the beach and then asks if she willingly used the word key, to which, of course, Aelin says no. And then she goes off on him and is like, how could you put yourself in harm's way like that? How could you go in front of the blow? Rowan then says it would have destroyed her and any hope at an alliance if she destroyed the city as well. Aelin kind of talks about how violated she felt as Deanna took over. Rowan finally says he loves her, and she says she loves him. And even if there are limits, and if he needs time because of Lyria, she just needs to point this out. And it prompts this incredibly swoon-worthy line from Rowan. And again, Sarah J. Maas is a master at romance.
Hmm.
The line goes, I love you. There is no limit to what I can give to you. No time I need. Even when this world is a forgotten whisper of dust between the stars, I will still love you. I love Rowan so much.
Oh,
It's so sweet. He says a lot of good things in this book.
yeah.
And in good old romantic fashion, the two finally have their intimate moment right there on the beach. This has been hinted the entire book. They're like, well, I'd like to take you up on that tree, but it would be too loud. It's been fun. There's
Yeah.
a lot of fire and ice, and yes, lightning. What does that remind you of?
Violet and
Fourth
Xaden.
Wing.
Yeah.
when Violet is like, I mean, it's during the same thing when there is a climax and there's lightning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there are so many similarities sprinkled into this book that's in Fourth Wing that just
Hmm.
makes you wonder.
Well, this
And
book came first.
oh yeah, no,
Hmm.
Throne of Glass came way before Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, I wonder if Rebecca Yarros got any like ideas from Throne of
Ideas.
Glass or if it was a coincidence.
Yeah. But I'd
But
say there are a couple coincidences, but
there's quite a few.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Aylin's just like this fireball, and they're just having a spicy scene on the beach.
Hmm.
To which I need to point out some cringy words that are used in YA novels with spicy scenes because they can't use terms like dick. So this one was velvet wrapped steel, and that is probably the worst one, in my opinion.
Ew. Velvet wrap steel.
Like you can't in a young adult book, you can't like describe any like actual terms of body parts. So it's
Mhm.
literally like you have to use analogies or like his body's in my body. It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
just weird.
Yeah. Oh, I just quickly, skim over it.
Well, I'm driving and I'm listening to the audiobook, so it's a
Yeah.
little less, a little harder to do. But
Yeah. Um,
velvet wrapped steel is not my favorite term in any romantasy book ever.
mm-mm. Not a fan.
Can we just normalize not using that anymore?
I'm never going to use it ever again. Chapter 39, they finish up their lovemaking, and apparently now that they've done that, which I mean, okay, I will say props to her. Finally, I mean, I thought it was never going to happen and that one of them was going to die before it happened. And I was like, I thought you learned your lesson with Sam. And so apparently she did. I still think that she waited maybe a bit too long because I mean, they were put in some life and death situations sooner. So props to her for getting the job done.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. And so now apparently they both have like a certain scent that will expose what they have done to everyone and then mark each other together. So then Aelin goes to see Lysandra, and Dorian and Adian are in the room there too, and they're like wide eye immediately as they like both sense her smell. Lysandra then says, "Enjoy your ride."
She's
I,
one, like I told you earlier on in the series, like in Assassin's Blade, I told you Lysandra was one of my favorite
oh
characters.
my gosh, that was so funny. Enjoy your ride? Question
She's
mark?
she's
LOL.
comedic relief for
Yeah.
sure in the series.
Yeah, that was super funny. So Aelin then tells the group that she kind of lets everyone know all of her secrets now. She's like, "Hey, I have a word key and here's all the secrets I've been keeping," and says that, "Dorian, it's time for you to meet Elena." And she then draws word marks with her blood and summons Elena. There's not a good connection because she's so far away from Rifthold, but it's there. And she says that Deanna is a Elena does. Deanna is a god and she doesn't follow the same rules as her, Elena, and that Deanna will not forget what Aelin just did and how she shoved her out of her body before she was ready to go. This is, in my opinion, probably foreshadowing something bad, but I don't know yet. So then she says to go to a temple at the heart of the stitches to find the lock. Elena's father had to sacrifice her mother's life to get this lock. That was the price for the lock. And the lock is for the word keys to shut the gate and bind the keys inside forever. So it's really important. But guess what? The lock supposedly can only be used once. And Elena said that she had to steal it and use it for her people to seal Erewhon in his tomb. So theoretically, it shouldn't be able to be used again. And there was that one chance, and we might not be able to bind the keys now. So no one can think of who Elena's mother is. And she says that her mother loved her father and then bound herself into a mortal body. And they're all like, oh crap, we know who your mother is. Her mother is Mala Firebringer. And that means that her blood runs through Aelin and Dorian, which explains why they are so powerful. They're literally descendants of a god, a goddess. And so she tells everyone that they sail now for the marshes. Rolf is supposed to find the rest of the Mycenians and go to Terrasen. So they all leave the next morning. Ralph gave her the general coordinates for the lock using his map. And after 3 days sailing, a wyvern all of a sudden approaches their ship and they're ready to fire. But it's a Braxos carrying Manon, who is passed out and just about dead. They go to shoot her, and Dorian's like, wait. So,
Yep. That's it. That's the end of part one of the book.
yep. And that'll be the end of our episode. So go ahead, get started on chapters 40 through 56.
Yep. That will
And
be episode three.
yep,
A lot of questions still to come.
a lot more
What is this
action.
lock? What does Queen who was promised mean? There are so many things.
Mhm.
And are we going to get more spicy scenes between a few characters? We'll find out. To the readers who listen, we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.